Well, thank you everybody for joining us for the dedication to the Bill Workman offices. My name is Jeff Hyder. I'm a graduate from 1978 and was very lucky to coach with Bill after I got back from college. So I'm an alumni kind of really 2 times when you think about it. We're going to have a little myriad of speakers today. All of them will share some great stories about their relationship with Bill. And we'll finish with Sherry Workman, who will talk about her relationship with Bill as the spouse of a head football coach, which I know there's a couple head football coaches here, and I'm sure that's pretty tough. So I do want to thank everybody for being here. First and foremost, before this gets left out, there's a man that I would consider one of the greatest advocates for Edison High School. Not only when he taught here, but also since he's retired. Probably didn't want me to say anything, but I call him an agent of change. So he wants to get something done. This guy gets things done. So what's behind me, all covered up at this point. This weight room over here on my right-hand side, or I should say my left-hand side, your right-hand side. Those things don't happen without Bruce Belcher. So please give Bruce a hand for making things like this happen, wherever he is. Because the alumni that are here have participated in helping us raise money, I was able to give him an answer within 24 hours. The funding's there. Let's make this happen. So the alumni are here. Please give them a round of applause. As in all things, things change. Patty Asaro is here, who Bill replaced her fabulous husband, Vince. And Dave White is here, who obviously replaced Bill Workman. So, and of course, Coach Grady's here, who replaced Coach White. So things change a little bit. So because of that, we also have a new principal. So if I could invite Danny Morris up to have a few words, please join us, Danny.
So let's hear it for Jeff as well. He does a great job for these programs. Another huge supporter of our school. But also I would like to recognize Rocky Wan, Sam Allen. They really stepped up to make this happen as well. So let's hear it for them as well. And of course our boosters. You know, I can say this. I know Jeff said that, you know, it was one call to me and we got it going. I know Bruce and I worked together on making sure the funding was there. But when you have this kind of support at a school, it makes it really easy to get things like this done. Having your support, having the support of not only our kids, but also our alumni, our community. This school is a very special place. People come back, people stay. It's just ingrained in the community. So I do want to thank everyone for being here today. This is not the end of what we're trying to do for Edison. We want to create a place for our students and our community that they're very proud. So when people walk down this alley, they see what Edison's all about. And we're going to keep working on that, not only for you, but for these guys over here. So this one's for you guys.
So, you know, along the way, Bill had to have a lot of what you might say important people on his staff and in his life that got him to where he finally accomplished. And so we're going to start, and each one of these will be a perspective from that perspective. So we're going to start with a fellow coach, and I'm sure virtually the whole crowd knows who this is, except for these players. But Barry Waters, why don't you come up and share a few words about Bill Workman?
I don't know. One of the biggest problems we ever had with Bayshore in high school is we could never get him to talk. And now it's kind of hard to shut him up, so I'm glad I'm going first here. We had a nice talk on 4th of July, okay? I hope we don't cross paths. What an honor. Ronald Reagan once said, "Wherever a beautiful soul has been, there's a trail of beautiful memories." It's true that Bill coached his last game at this school almost 40 years ago, but the memories keep growing as the years go by. And we all know that when Bill got to Edison, he traded his horse for a Porsche, a cowboy hat for a beach visor, and a country song for the Bee Gees. While we all know his record and his accomplishments, I just think that having a building dedicated in his honor, such as the office, is just such an interesting and awesome thing. So let's talk about the office. What you see in front of you, if you haven't been in there, is not nearly, I'm an antique guy, I don't know what the right word is, but if you visualize 13 full-time PE teachers getting hired at Edison in the early 70s, all crammed into the upper office, trying to butt heads for spaces, see who got the good lockers, dealing with Scarface, stealing everybody's roll books, trying to find a place to shower. It was chaos. And over a course of time, somehow we negotiated an office over here by the pool. And I remember Bill and Russ and I in particular, and a lot of the other guys volunteered. We kind of had to be cabana boys down there for a while, but it was a lot of fun being outside, watching the co-eds come by, you know, kids coming in and out of the office, booster club people popping in and out. It was quite a place to do business. But I think about that office, and you know, it was just in that office, and I'm sure for Dave and for Jeff and Bill when they got in this office, the same thing for Vail, but it was a place where discussions happened and things were talked over, evaluations, practice plans were put together, how many 40s we should run on a Monday, maybe 40, maybe 50 if the kids, you know, were in the mood. But it was a place to strategize and just take care of business. Some of the business had nothing to do with X's and O's. I remember sometimes the topic was, who got in a fight at Noggles after the game? Maybe we had a debriefing on workmanisms, so we could truly understand, because Bill was always called a great communicator, but it took a while to figure out exactly what a posi quad was, and a pram bar, and a mergatron. I think I understand what a bisquatomy is, and I may have added the word Flanorton, but you know, this is part of the great communicator. We had to understand his lingo. And I remember a story that happened to me this year. I had the pleasure of coaching Friday Night Lights with my son. It's quite an endeavor. I saw Coach Boyer out there, Mark, with his guys, and I remember being at McDonald's with my 5-year-old, having lunch one day, and a bunch of kids came in, they were using the F word. And it wasn't the proper F word. So I took that lesson and I took it to practice, and I told the kids about it. I said, we're gonna have our own F words. And I thought about Bill. Words like family, friends, fun, French fries, food, football. We added the word faith. And I swear to you, my 10-year-old son looks at me and goes, hey, Papa, Flanorton starts with an F. And I said, okay, we're gonna add Flanorton. But you know, there's so many stories that came out of that coach's office. I mentioned the Bee Gees. I'm here to tell you that I'm not going to take credit for the coaching uniforms of the 70s. It was embarrassing. I'll blame Russ because he's in Florida. But you know, bell bottoms, checkered pants, the whole thing, that was just part of the times. We were influenced by, you know, things around us. But the bottom line was, we had a good time. We got a lot done. And thanks to people like the alumni here and so many others, we were blessed to always have great players and be successful. You know, it's always an interesting thing for me to be asked, what was it like to coach with Bill? And every time I answer that question, I think of Proverbs 27:17, which says, so a friend, as iron sharpens iron, so a person sharpens another person's character. We are all better people in every facet of our lives because of Bill Workman. And I'm blessed to not just call him a fellow coach, someone who trusted in all of us, but a brother in faith. I'm so proud to be here today. Speaking of Friday Night Lights, in closing, if you've never been here on Friday evenings, there are thousands of people who walk by this office. And I will be so excited to see the final product, Bruce, and all the things you do, Dave White, Principal, Danny, and Jeff, and everybody else. This is one amazing tribute to a great man. Thank you all. I love you.
This next speaker was just a phenomenal all-CIF athlete here at Edison, and then took his talents to UCLA and became an all-league performer at UCLA, and is a leader here in Orange County as a president of a company. But more importantly, he continues to support Edison High School with the building of the Charger quarterback club, which is all of our video as far back as he could dig out of one of those rooms over there, digitized and there for all of us to see. And Rob Warden, you were really slow. So I just saw you stand there, Rob, so I just wanted to. So Rick's gonna share what it's like from a player's perspective to be coached by Bill Workman. Rick Bayshore.
If I could have all of the alumni come up and stand around me. You guys have played football here, and I know you're over here. Come on up around, and this is a team effort. Some true legends right here, ladies and gentlemen. Just one at a time. Come in, introduce yourself.
Mark Churchward, class of 80.
Greg Angelovic, and speaking for my brother, Michael Angelovic, 85 and 80, 86, 89.
Oh boy. Oh, the legend. Oh boy. Rocky Wong, class of 72. Beat Fountain Valley, 21-20. Number 32.
Mike Bennett, class of 74.
Eric Johnson, class of 74.
Eric Bergstrom, class of 83.
Leonard Simpson, class of 83.
Oski, he played defense.
Mike Garrity, 1981.
He was a receiver.
Rob Warden, number 50, number 1 in your heart, class of 81, two-time CIF champion.
Andy Sinclair, class of 1984. And Andy went to Stanford.
Mark Boyer, class of 80, 1979 CIF champs, 55-0.
Mark played for the wrong school over there at USC, and he also played for the New York Jets.
Alan McCoy, class of 80.
Jeff Brady, class of 1998.
Ernie Samuel.
2008. I don't know, Coach. These guys are getting awful big over here. Some big boys over there. Is that the varsity? JV? Freshman? Next year. JV varsity. JV varsity as well. Rick Bayshore, class of 76. Edison played football and baseball here. Was lucky enough to play for Coach Workman for 2 years. It's just really been hard to imagine that it's been a year already, July 3rd, the anniversary of Bill's passing just the other day. It just seems like, yesterday we were at the services. just wanted to acknowledge Sherry and Julie and Sydney and Jordan, the Workman family. Deepest condolences again to you and your family, and hopefully life is moving on and getting past it. I know Sharon and I have nice little chats on the phone every now and then, give each other pep talks, so I appreciate that, Sherry, very much. Bill was 82 years old when he passed and had a great life and was just a mentor to so many of us and such a great human. I'd like to thank Jeff Hyder and Rocky Wan for leading the alumni all these years, and Rocky Wan posts more on Facebook than Taylor Swift does, I think. It's got to be at least 5 times a day. He's got 5 different websites, so he hits you from every angle. So if there's any news to be out there gotten by any of us, it's coming from Rocky Wan. Rocky, thanks for everything you do. Jeff Hyder, thanks for everything you do, and the alumni. Jeff Hyder is Mr. Edison, no doubt about it. Just wanted to also acknowledge 2 great coaches at Edison. Dave White, 33 years as the head coach. He's back coaching again. I don't know why, but he's coaching again. Took some time off to watch his son play at Yale. So Dave is Mr. Edison. How many total years, Dave? 43? 43 years. 43 years of coaching here is just unbelievable. What a testament to you, Dave. And Jeff, you're doing a great job as the current head coach. How many seasons now, Jeff?
7, 8.
Going on his 8th season. Doing a great job. Keeping the Charger tradition alive. Coach Workman, he coached here from 73 to 86 as the head coach. 3 CIF championships, 9 league championships, a 32-game winning streak, and Coach of the Year 3 times, which is a true testament to his character, his energy, and his drive. I was 14 years old entering this blacktop right here as a freshman. Coach Workman would have been 30 years old at the time. He looked like Laird Hamilton. He was always tan, blonde. He was ripped, muscles. He had the calves. He was just such a good-looking man and such a kind man. He was really, really one of a kind, and I know a lot of us consider him to be a mentor along with the other coaches. One of the strengths of Coach Workman was bringing other coaches into this program. My Edison football varsity staff was every bit as good as the coaching staff at UCLA, if not better. We had Barry Waters, Russ Purnell, Coach Asaro, Denny Moulton, Greg Henry, Terry Lorenzen, some of the legends on the staff in the 70s and then carried through to the 80s. Just a tremendous testament to the person he was and the coaches he could attract and the talent that he could keep at the school. I mean, it's the reason our tradition is so strong at Edison, the foundations that were built by Coach Vale, and Coach Asaro, and Coach Workman, Dave White, Jeff Grady. I mean, to have that many head coaches in 50-some years of Edison is a testament to the powerful coaching that guys have. Al Granado, St. Paul guy over there. So yeah, just tremendous coaches all the way from, varsity down to the freshman level. When I entered Edison as a freshman, I never played tackle football before. I played flag football. Didn't know how to put on pads. I think I put my girdle on backwards. I thought the pad was for the front and not the back. None of us knew how to get dressed. Right there in that locker room, right there as freshmen. Donnie Wan was a polished quarterback, Rocky's brother. He was playing Pop Warner, and he was the quarterback, and he was really good. And so I went out for the football team, and they put me on, the gold team, which is the bad guys. You're on the gold team. So all the green guys, they were the starters in the gold team. All right, so as I was saying, I was relegated to the gold team, and Donnie was the starting quarterback for the green team, and had a great season. And the gold team, I think we went undefeated or maybe had 1 loss. So Coach Workman, in his wisdom, after that season, before our sophomore season, Coach Workman got Donnie and I together and says, Donnie, I think you're going to be Rick's receiver, and we're going to move Rick to quarterback. So somehow Coach Workman figured out that we would be a dynamic duo, me throwing to Donnie, and it worked out in such a terrific manner for the next 3 years. So Workman figuring that out was kind of the way, his mind worked and how he put the pieces together and how he shuffles players around and how he does that. He just exuded confidence and respect, and discipline, but he always did it out of love. You always knew that your coach loved you, he respected you, he was tough. Conditioning, Coach Aguas in conditioning was a monster. We didn't like Barry Waters when we played here, and now we're best friends as adults. Barry Waters was the true disciplinarian of the Workman staff. He had the white visor, he had the whistle, the glasses, the zinc oxide, the yellow dolphin shorts, the green and gold socks, and the white Nikes with a red on them. That was the Barry Waters uniform. Curly hair, he was about 28 years old, handsome, but he was the baddest guy on the practice field, running gassers, Dallas Mile. That's where everybody on the team has to run within a certain time around the track 4 times. So quarterbacks, receivers had to run it, in a certain amount of time, linemen, defensive backs. So that staff was, it was all out of love though. They did, they worked us hard. They taught us discipline, getting up for double days and doing that hell week, sitting right here and taking naps in the shade right here. I can remember it like it was yesterday. So one of the things I wanted to share, I don't think it's a tradition at Edison High School anymore, but Coach Workman ran the square. And the square was a pregame ritual in the wrestling room where all the players would sit in a square. Coach Workman was the only coach in the room, and every single player on the team had to stand up and say what was on his mind all the way around the room. If you didn't have anything to say, you just stood up and said, "Hey, I'm proud to be a Charger." So Coach Workman was so good at relationships with the players that the players were free to openly talk in front of him, encourage each other on, talk about how they were committed to that game that night. But that was a ritual that went on for years and years and years. It meant a lot to us, and just having Coach listen and learning our personalities and learning what was making us tick and what was inside of us was extremely intuitive to him, and he used it to his advantage to coach us on the field. The film studies, we couldn't wait to, get in there on Saturday morning and watch our game. Coach Workman would run that on the 16 millimeter projector in the classroom here, teaching us, critiquing us, and just having the humor and sensibility just to teach us in such a way that it was fun to watch those films. I got another perspective from coaching when Barry Waters recruited me out of UCLA to be an assistant coach at Westminster High School in 1980. Barry Waters took the head coaching job at Westminster High School. I was still in school, and he talked me into coaching for, I think, $3,000 for the whole season. And he told me I was the highest paid coach in the history of Orange County as an assistant. So I made, I think it was 3 months I worked, and I never realized, coaching for 2 years with Coach Waters, what time these guys put into what they do. I mean, it's unbelievable how many hours and hours and hours they put in on the practice field, in prepping and meetings and scoutings. You've got your practices, you've got your Friday night game, you've got your Saturday morning JV game, you've got your Sunday all-day studies. So I started dating my wife, Rosalyn, at the time, and Barry would call me if I wasn't at his house by 9 o'clock in the morning. It's like, "Rick, where are you going to do the game plan?" He wouldn't let us out of the house until 5 p.m. on Sunday. So the amount of hours that go into coaching, and my hat's off to all the coaches, that came through the Edison program, and the dedication that you guys do, and the tireless hours. And I know the pay is not real good, and it's a struggle to raise money and retain coaches on those salaries, but just a testament to how many hours these guys actually put in. So when Barry and I coached against Edison in 80 and 81, that was quite a feeling to be in the press box coaching the Westminster team, calling the plays against my old Edison boys and coaches and all that fun. And of course, Edison whipped our butts twice. But I did think Barry did beat them at 83, 14-13 somehow. Barry pulled that one off in 1983. But But I'll kind of wrap up with, I was working with Sherry and all those books. I think Sherry brought all of the scrapbooks of every season of Coach Workman. She kept them under the bed. She's got scrapbooks of every newspaper article, picture. So we went through and took pictures of all those articles and all those things and memorabilia she had. And it was really neat to see Coach Workman there and talking with him at the kitchen table, visiting with Sherry. I was putting that all together for, as some of you know, I've got the Charger QB Club and putting the history of Edison Charger football up on YouTube and building a website of all the tradition, all of the teams, all of the stats, all of the record holders, the Hall of Fame, the scholarship players, all the video for each year. So it's been a project I've been working on for close to 5 years now. It's almost complete. So just sitting there with Coach looking at all those articles and seeing him smile. I think the last thing that he ever said to me, he was looking at articles of the 1979 team, and he was looking at Kerwin and Dino, and he would just, with that smile, he said, "That cat could fly. He could flat out fly." And that's, a workingism right there. He's just, just always joking and having fun. But I recall that's one of the last things that Bill had said to me at the table there. So I just wanted to close and just say, my path in life would not be the same if it wasn't for Coach Workman, getting me into UCLA and guiding me along with the other coaches. Is just you can't put into words. And I know he did it with so many other players. I think we have 200 players from the UCLA alumni, or the Edison alumni, that have gone on to get scholarships. So 200 scholarships is quite a feat for a program. But I just wanted to, again, thank everyone, and Coach Workman, we love you.
Thanks, Rick. Okay, this next speaker obviously has a really quite interesting perspective. So not only is the winningest coach in the history of Edison High School with his 43 years, but 33 years as a head coach. He's also arguably in the top 5 in the county and is in, I believe, every Hall of Fame he's eligible from to enter into in terms of coaching football. So without further ado, Coach Dave White.
Well, mainly, I was honored and privileged to be the quarterback Bill's first year as the head coach. My junior year was his first year as an assistant, and Vince Shaw was the head coach, and Vince retired. And our principal at the time was looking at head coaches from other schools. And I remember some of the seniors went into the principal's office and said, no, we got a guy right here that we want. We want Bill Workman. And luckily, he was hired. And so Bill's first year as a head coach was my senior year, and I was a quarterback. And like Rick said, he just made practice fun. He made hard work fun, and that's hard to do sometimes in football. And I had a great time. I learned so much from him. But I think my perspective is a little bit as a player, but more so I went on to college, and Bill and Sherry came up after I graduated from Oregon State, and I was planning on being a graduate assistant coach at Oregon State. We weren't very good, and the head coach got fired the next year, so that would have been a short career there. Bill said, "Hey, do you want to be the head freshman coach at Edison? And you got a teaching job." And I said, "You kidding me? Heck yeah." So that was like a week before the season started. So I was the head freshman coach in 1979, and then came up to varsity in 80. So I have the privilege and honor to play for Bill, be an assistant coach for Bill, and then taking over for Bill when he went on to Orange Coast College. And really, Bill and Sherry coming up on their vacation and coming to my Oregon State and visiting me and my wife at the time changed my whole life. And he's mentored me my whole life since I was 16 years old. So without Bill, my career would have been totally different. I never would have, Rick said how many years, 43 years is coaching, but I went here, so 47 years I've been at this school. And it would not be like that if it wasn't for Bill Workman. And he was a great coach, he was a great friend, he was like a second father to me. I learned so much from him about being a good coach and trying to make practices fun when it's hard. And so he shaped my whole life, really, as a football player, as a coach, as a man, as a husband. And I loved him, and I'll always love him. And Sherry, I love you and your family, and you know how I feel about Bill. So he was one of a kind. There'll never be nothing like him. Thank you.
All right, without further ado, Sherry, why don't you come talk about this?
Okay. Some don't like to be married to football coaches because they're gone a lot and they have long hours. Am I okay, Julie? But I loved it, and we had the best time if you were at Edison, you had 4 months of football to go to because they pretty much always went way far in the playoffs. And so I feel like I've met many of my lifelong friends out of this little group here. My dear friends that have supported us and me in this last year. Willie and I went to college together, and we got pinned and we got unpinned and we got engaged and almost unengaged. We kind of went back and forth, but when we decided to really get married, we did, and we have a lovely family. And I would just like my family right now to stand up. Well, during these years of courting, you'd say, maybe out with your college, I found out how much Willie loved children. It didn't matter what size children. In the market, he would talk to every baby in every cart. Even, I wondered if the mother was happy about that. But it didn't matter. He would rock the babies at when we decided to run the nursery at our church. And so he was the best cuddler and rocker, and he would take those babies outside and get them to stop crying. So he was very able to handle all kinds of people. But here's how the story is that he got to Edison. This is my last story. We lived in Whittier. We had one darling daughter. I was pregnant with my next little girl right there. And he went to the tax office to get his taxes done. So out walks Vince Asaro. And he says, Willie, or Bill, I think they called him Bill, what are you doing now? Do you have a job? Do you have a coaching job? He said, well, no, right now I'm teaching 8th graders at Granada Intermediate. And so he said, but I'm doing coaching after school. Anyway, Vince and Willie had a great talk, and it ends up that he asks him to be his offensive coordinator and come down, and this was the drawing point, half a mile from the beach in Huntington Beach. How would you like that job? And so Willie said, that was great. And he came home and told me, and we started planning, and of course, he had to go and get hired. They didn't hire him just on Vince's talking about him. So he had to prove that he was a great coach and and a great teacher. So we got down here because two people, this is how life is, you guys. Life is like this. Your life is kind of maybe planned for you by a greater power, and you find your place in life. And don't be satisfied until you get what what you think the Lord is telling you. So we got down here, he got hired, and we got down to Edison. And then I had another little baby girl right there. And so after that, we've already heard what I don't have to talk about after that, because then he was able to work his way up and be to the coach, the head coach. And so I just wanted to say that I have appreciated all of you for so many years. My family, my neighbors that are here, my darling grandchildren, and I just hope that we can all just always be true to what we know is right. And
Okay, the time has come. So if Julie, Sydney, and your sister Jordan and your mom go up to the board, and Bruce will help supervise. Girls, you want to? All right, go ahead, pull it. Nice. Well, let's hear forever, folks. So at this point, the dedication is complete. There are some scrapbooks over there. There's some water and some